join a bit later. Okay, great. So, thanks for joining. This is another meeting from our Q&A session series, and for those who joined recently and haven't attended the Q&As, just to inform that usually we're discussing the latest news, if any, as well as reviewing what should be done during the previous week, and we're reviewing the current week scope. So, as for the previous week, we entered to week number 8. It is assumed that the students accommodated the following listed modules: the test for DOM API for the given topic, the code wars, katas that were described in the previous one. This task is supposed to be evaluated automatically, and the cross-check for the online zoo should also be accommodated based on the evaluation requirements. So we are moving forward to the week number 9. As for the current week, we continue taking the bookshop the next week of the following task, which assumes that along with the week 1 requirements for the for making the layout using the JavaScript code, you'll bring the additional interactive functionality for your application. So here is the scope for the current week for the bookshop. So this is the final week for the bookshop. So at the end of completion of the task, you need to submit your work to the cross-check. So the deadline is, as usual, the last day of our study week is Monday. So next Monday will be the deadline for submission for the cross-check. Um, what else should be accommodated? Yeah, there is another theoretical topic coming up this week. So for better to check your understanding of it, the test DOM event is also added to the RS app. So with the bookshop, the test should be accommodated as well. And another important announcement that we see, we have 3 weeks left in the stage 1. So it means that it's coming up soon, that you should expect the interview with the mentor. So I believe that's the high time to start preparation for the interview. Like I said, the interview should cover any of the topics that we covered during the stage 1. It means that it is Git, HTML plus CSS, and JS basics. On the interview, you should expect that you'll be given with theoretical questions to check your understanding, as well as some kind of coding tasks. So to reveal all the topics, you could use the schedule to check and to reveal all the materials that you've passed, and to practice your coding skills and be prepared for coding tasks during the interview. You could use CodeWorks. So now you accommodate at several CodeWork task series, and still you can use this platform to practice yourself by completing another random kata based on the same level that you accommodated previously. So what I mean, let's say, so now we have the CodeWorks array object completed this time around, and we see that the level of the katas is in the range between 8 and 6Q. So you could like pick another character on the code words within the same level as you accommodated. You could like take this activity on a regular basis and to solve at least one kata a day. I believe that should be pretty enough to be prepared for the coding assignments. And yeah, that's the usual requirement for the people who doesn't have any practical skills and has some difficulties with solving coding tasks during the interview to practice on the code words. So I'm telling you the same to be prepared in advance and start practicing your coding skills to solve any coding task on the interview. Yeah, and so, uh, about the theoretical topics, yeah, I believe, yeah, you could review all the weeks that we've accommodated to rewatch the lectures, to review the materials. But yeah, uh, following the previous questions from the previous Q&A sessions, and we don't have any pre-prepared questions for the interview. So what the questions will be given to you, it fully depends on the interviewer, but we don't have such a prepared set of the questions, and we already told that the questions could cover any of the topics from the stage one. Okay, great. I believe that's it I wanted to share with you, unless Andre has something else to share with you. Looks like no. Great. So I believe we could jump into the questions. So please ask anything, anyone. Yeah, Debbie, please go ahead.
Oh, okay, sorry.
You were on mute. Okay.
Yeah, I just noticed. Yeah, hello everyone. My question is, which link are we supposed to submit for the bookshop tax? Because if I'm correct, um, we should be able to check if the student indeed creates those stuff through JavaScript, right? So are we supposed to submit the live link or the repo link or both link? It's kind of not clear which link to
Uh,
submit.
you, well, it's great to submit the link to the deployed version of the bookshop. So if you see at the scoring criteria, it's all about the task requirements itself, not the source code. The source code quality or best practices will not relate this time around. So the only thing is how much you of the features you completed on the bookshop. So it should be the deployed version of the bookshop.
I will add this information to the description.
Yeah, thank you so much. By the way, answering the question, so even though we will submit the deployed version of the bookshop, so how can we check, for instance, the following criteria? The content is created through the JavaScript. So if you open an application, so it's the application will already consist of the content that is rendered. There are several ways. The most convenient one is to use DevTools. And whenever you load in the application, so I can like show you two examples. So the first one, so I need to choose the doc. Yeah, there's just one thing. So whenever you're loading some application, it first tries to fetch the HTML. So you could inspect what kind of response you received. So now let's see. We loaded the GitHub page, and this one I selected docs tab to filter out other requests. So yeah, and we see that we got the following HTML in the response. see plenty of scripts here, and we see that the content is pre-rendered. Another instance, I will use like the documentation filter. Please don't be scared. That's just for reference, because I remember that it uses another approach. So yeah, we see that the body consists of some auxiliary scripts. This one will be showed in case if the browser doesn't support JavaScript, but the body itself is empty. So it means that, well, maybe I'll make it a bit bigger. So the body itself is empty, so it means that the content is fully rendered by the JavaScript. And you could use the same approach for verification. So if you see that the HTML in the response has no content in the HTML and it's all rendered, it means that it's all rendered using JavaScript. So yeah, I believe that information will be useful for your further evaluation. And I answered your initial question. So to submit for the cross-check, you need to use your deployed version. This requirement will be added and announced accordingly. Okay, any other questions? I see from the chat. So would it be possible to take an interview on Russian just in case interviewer is native speaker? So, well, I believe we do not have such restrictions in case if a mentor has the same languages as his group mates, his mentees. But maybe that's a great question to the others. But my understanding is that whenever, in case if a group has been formed of the people who speak the same language apart from English, so you could organize the communication in your convenient language. But officially, we communicate with the rest students, with organizers in English, and including our Q&A session. So I believe that's not will not be a problem. So you could communicate with your interviewer whenever you got the contact to conduct the interview on your convenient language.
Let me add one clarification. The first interview might be in other language. It might be Russian, Uzbekistan, or Uzbek probably, Georgian language, and so on. It doesn't matter. But the last one only in English. It will help you to increase your technical dictionary and be prepared to interview in the company. And interview will be in English, I guess, almost 100%.
Yeah, that's important point that your final interview will be on English. Yeah, anyway, you could ask your interviewer, even though you speak the same native language and English is not your native language, you could also ask him to hold the interview in English to practice. So it's fully up to you. Okay, any other topics? Question about the interview. At what times do you plan to interview? How long does it last? I work hard from the morning and in the morning hours I'm not available. So the interview itself, the time of the interview itself will be based on your communication with your interviewer. So if we look at our schedule, we'll see the dates uh, within which the interview should be conducted. So the deadline for the interviews is 12th of December. So that's your choice at which time it's convenient to hold the interview. So your first step, by the way, after you receive the contact details of your interviewer, not to wait till the end of this term, but to try to contact the mentor as soon as possible because they also could have a busy workload. And that will be great if you will contact them as soon as you receive the contact details to schedule the interview. And based on your and his availability, you could find a convenient time for the interview. Okay, so I believe I answered this question. The next one. So here is the link. So the question is, in my realization of yellow dots interactivity is correct according to the criteria. So, so I believe you mean about these dots. By default, the interactivity. So unless it's stated otherwise in the task criteria, but anyway, we could check it once again. But for your reference, if you will encounter this behavior in other other assignments, interactivity by default means that whenever an element is active, by hovering or clicking on the element, it firstly, the element should change its style from inactive to active. For instance, the link is interactive element, so whenever we hover the mouse, we see that the element's style has been changed as well as the cursor state from default to pointer. So this is the default requirement for interactivity of the elements. But the task requirements could state otherwise, or the Figma designs could state otherwise. So please pay attention to the task requirements or to mockup requirements in case if it's consists of appropriate styles that's needed to be implemented in your assignment. Yeah.
I guess the question is related to 20 pixels activity around these dots. It was the popular question in the Discord, but as I can see, we have much more area of activity, so it's not 20 pixels only. So from on the one hand, yes, this dot is active, but on the other hand, it's break the one of criteria related to 20 pixels area.
Yeah, but anyway, we answered all the possible questions from any aspect, depending on the point of view. Okay, another one. Hi, question about Bookshop. Can we mix validation methods in order page form made in HTML? If I'm correct, some inputs validations can be done in HTML code directly. So yeah, the next page, the order page is done through the HTML, and since we don't like have other understanding of other complex methods of validation. So yeah, you could use the validation embedded into the HTML markup itself. So if the page is implemented in this way, so yeah, the HTML attributes for validations could be used. Okay. Yeah, please let me know if you need clarifications on any of the answers, or highlight any topics you wanted to raise. Okay, then looks like no other questions. Great. Uh, yeah, okay. Well, in case of no questions, so perhaps we could close the session and to wish you the good luck for the current week. And one more time, please let us know in case if something is not clear for you. So, okay, thanks for your attention and good luck. It's the current week and have a great day.
Have a good week. Bye bye.